there, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Texas Association of School Boards podcast, TASB Talks. We're back and ready to give you the latest happenings and insights into Texas public education. I'm your host, Matt Mitchell, Senior Communications Specialist here at TASB, and today I'm joined by Dax Gonzalez, Division Director of TASB Governmental Relations. Dax, thanks so much for coming back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt, and welcome to TASB and the show. It's great to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm excited to be here. So, it's my first one of these we're doing, and yeah. For those of you new to the show, Dax will be joining me each episode to give us expert analysis on what's happening right now at the Texas legislature and what's to come in the weeks ahead. And on that note, let's just kind of dive right into it.
Matt, did I see air quotes around that word expert? I feel like that was.
Oh no. I mean, you're an expert to me. I'm a newbie.
I was giving air quotes, Matt. But no. Yeah, been around a long time, so seen a lot of stuff, and it's always great to talk about. What's going on at the Capitol, and right now it's getting really busy. We're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of interim hearings. Folks are trying to get through their interim charges right now before the session comes up, so they can get their interim reports out. Even as we record this, I think there are 3 hearings going on right now that we're folks back at TASB GR are following. So. A lot of activity, a lot of things going on. It started probably a couple of weeks ago or maybe even 3 weeks ago now, with the House Public Education Committee hearing that happened. And as usually happens during the interim, they'll start with an update from the Commissioner of Education. So Mike Morath was there to provide them with a state of the state of education, if you will. Heard some top line data of what's going on with schools in terms of performance. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's not looking great. We're still seeing we're seeing really a stagnation of the progress that kids are making coming out of the pandemic. Scores sagged after the pandemic and then started to rise, and now we're kind of see those flattening out. One of the reasons why the commissioner thinks that may be happening, and this is what he said in today's hearing in the Senate Education Committee meeting, was possibly cell phone use, and he even had a graph showing the use of cell phones rising and the stagnation or decline of performance of our kids in schools. So he flat out said if he could, he would eliminate them from Texas schools. And there are some districts that are doing that. So that certainly is going to be something that they're going to be talking about this coming session. What
has the TASB Governmental Relations team been up to, and what can trustees be doing leading up to the session?
Well, it's been a busy interim, and that's not just regarding the hearings. We've been working with trustees across the state to develop TASB's advocacy agenda because, as you know, our agenda is developed by our members. We go out to every region and try to get their local priorities, and those form the basis of our advocacy priorities that are adopted during the Delegate Assembly just next week. So those priorities and the resolutions will all be adopted then. So that's always a very educational process for us because we're getting to hear directly from boards and from trustees and other school leaders what the issues are locally that are important to them. So that is what guides our advocacy throughout the session. And it's something that really has been great because when we go to the Capitol, it's not what I want or what my boss wants or anyone else on the team wants. It's what our members tell us they need. So that's always a great feeling walking in with that. But, as we approach the elections, right, we have elections coming up in November, it's really important that our members are out there talking to the candidates and learning about them as much as they can. In some areas, there's already a pretty good indication of who is going to be the next legislator representing that district because a lot of districts are just drawn safe R or D. That's just the way it is. So if you know who that person is going to be, especially get out there and start meeting with those individuals and make sure they know the challenges and the successes that the boards and the districts are experiencing right now. So that when we get to session in January, hopefully, if they haven't already, these board members have developed a good relationship with those lawmakers.
Any other takeaways or things that have kind of stood out to you over the last couple of weeks and kind of as we kind of gear up and get closer and closer?
Yeah, well, another big issue that we're probably going to hear about going into next session is the elimination of property taxes. That's something that we've heard from various lawmakers and folks around the Capitol. It's something that I think some folks are looking into, but it really just, at least from my perspective and what I've heard from others, really isn't feasible. The Senate Finance Committee met a couple of weeks ago. They noted that we collect over $81 billion in local property taxes. That is a lot of money, and that's a lot of money to make up for from other revenue sources. And the number that they determined that our sales tax would have to increase to make up for that money. It'd have to go up to 22% from 6.25 right now as a statewide property sales tax. So that is a huge chunk. That's something that I don't know that is palatable for most folks. So it seemed like the Senate Finance Committee was not leaning in that direction. So we'll have to see where that discussion goes as we get into session.
And something else that happened in the last week or so as we record here on, what is today, September the 18th? The State Board of Education met here in Austin. So what happened at this meeting and what did they discuss?
Yeah, so it was a robust meeting, if I can use that term. It was a meeting where they talked about a lot of issues that really, I think, directly impacted school board members, from trainers that provide the training that trustees can get throughout their service, to charter school applications, to the high-quality instructional materials that they will be adopting moving forward under the House Bill 1605 law that passed recently that requires the state to create an open resource instructional material product. So a lot of debate, a lot of discussion and tweaking over a lot of these issues. Definitely we'll be keeping our eye on some of these issues, especially the training and charter issues are two things that are very important for our members, really. And we'll have to see where that goes.
Will be interesting to see indeed. And so kind of pivoting now, finally, last thing, can you talk a little bit about what's ahead? We've got some hearings coming up this week and the next. What's coming up with these hearings? What do you expect? What are you hearing? And is there anything else, any other important items that, the people should know about?
As these legislators hold these interim hearings, what they're trying to do is develop recommendations for the next session. So they're doing fact-finding, if you will, on various issues, and then the committees will produce interim committee reports. And then those reports will form the basis of legislation for next session. So we'll get a pretty good idea as those reports start coming out of where the legislature might be going on some of these issues. And they don't always shape out the same way as the reports come out, but it's a good indicator. And so expect the things that they're talking about now to find their way into some kind of bill. And in fact, before the committee was even over, there were senators already vowing to take up the cell phone ban legislation for this coming session, and they had filed it in sessions past, so it's not a surprise. But it's these discussions now that are shaping what's going to happen in the future.
And we are looking forward to it very much. Well, thanks so much again for your time this week. And just want to say thanks to the listeners for tuning in. We appreciate all of you. Dax and other members of the GR team will be back with us every other week to discuss the latest legislative updates. So make sure to subscribe to TASB Talks wherever you get your podcasts. Till next time, take care, y'all.